There were three sharks around 300 years into the future. The three sharks were looking for prey. They were looking for food. And they were deep within the ocean. And the limits of a shark is different areas within the ocean. Now the shark also scavenges for good food, fresh meat, and also it eats the smaller fishes. Now the three sharks, as they were moving, looking for food, they saw an octopus, which was quite huge, but it did not look to them that it was an octopus. And then there was a ship right on the top, 300 years into the future, looking for fishes. It had its sonar rays moving into the ocean, looking for the best of fishes. Now the sharks, in its mindset, was looking at the octopus as a food source. And then it moved towards the octopus. The octopus also had its defenses. It had its emission of enzymes which kind of dissuaded the sharks. But the sharks were kind of persistent. But then they saw another fish moving just beside the octopus. And thinking in terms of the food source and how best it could take the food without being hurt, it targeted the other smaller fish. The other smaller fish was not as dangerous as the octopus, but it was an easy meal. So the shark took the other fish. But while it was looking for the other fish, the three sharks bit on the fish. And unfortunately, 300 years into the future, that fish was a bait cast within a hook by the ship on the top of humans who were looking for the best of meat among sharks. All of the three sharks bit on the meat, and they could not come out, but they could bite on the taste of the fish. And in turn, these three sharks were prey to the humans 300 years into the future. Now, when we are moving in life, we have our boundaries. Let us move with the energies of the earth in terms of our thinking. And thereby we will not be limited as the sharks. We will move with the universal source code of abundance. We will move into fields which help future generations. Like the sharks, we will not be dependent on our human flesh alone. We will not do things for our flesh alone and be entrapped. We know that if we are going to go for our soul desires of our human flesh, we will have no meaning in terms of our life on earth because we are running for ourselves or for our family. But if we are moving with the source code of life for the future generations, working in the present, we will have a meaning in the yesterday, today, and tomorrow, the goodness of the universe, the eternity of time. Let's replenish our earth.
Being truly sustainable is equal to the energies of life of our earth, which includes the oxygen, water, and all other life systems. Sustainability and the energy of life, the vibration of creation, in terms of giving life to future generations, is one. But more than the word sustainability, we must use that we are with the energies of the earth which sustain life, not just for the present but also for the future generations. The word sustainability is a kind of word which does not represent, to my intuition, the whole picture of why we should work towards the goodness of the energies of the earth which sustain life for us and for the future generations. Sustainability kind of gives us the impression that we need to do something just for the sake of doing something, for being sustainable. But more than sustainability, it's about our reason that we are humans. The reason that we are humans is to follow the source code of life, to follow the source code of creativity, which is the only difference from other animals. Otherwise, we would be just one with any other animal. The only difference that we are humans is because we have creativity, and that is the God-given gift, and that is equal to sustainability. Having the God-given gift of creativity, we cannot deplete the resources of our earth. We cannot think of our carnal instincts alone, about ourselves alone, because that is not just a clear recipe for failure and falling into the deepest pits as a human, but it's also a recipe to lose the meaning of life as a human. The only reason that we can be humans in the true sense is that we embrace the source code of life of our earth, which is to an extent sustainability. But as we said, sustainability does not represent the true picture. It is about the energies of the earth, enriching, enlivening the energies of the earth for today. And in doing so, we are blessed with health, wealth, and spiritual well-being today. And we are blessing the future generations into the future, by which they are grateful because we have done something in our small time on earth. And by doing something for the future generations in terms of being with the energies of the earth, which provides abundance, which provides the best of natural resources, the best of quality of air, water, and all of the energy systems, and blessing the future generations as such by creating an environment within earth which is wonderful today in terms of the goodness of the natural systems of our earth, the goodness of the rivers, the pureness of the rivers not being polluted, and in turn the rivers being cleansed and being as pristine and a beautiful sight to see, as well as recycling the entire ecosystem, creating the best of rains, not like the acid rains that we see today in certain parts of the world, but creating the best of rains with the most nourishing of dewdrops, raindrops, the best of plants, not as the plants that are undernourished and being treated with chemical fertilizers, but using the natural organic systems of our earth, the organic soil, which helps the best of crops and keeps the crops and the soil in the best of health for the future generations to come. The best of infrastructure, not just concrete jungles, not just buildings after buildings, without a sense of being with the source code of creativity of life of our earth, along with the natural buildings, infrastructure, along with nature, along with the beauty of the flowers, forests just besides our cities, green expanse along with our cities, great gardens within our apartments, green spaces. Let's replenish our earth. Let's understand that nothing should come very easily in life. And even if things come easily into your life, you should know the value behind how it was created. Only then it will stay with you, it will help you grow. And any kind of investment, any kind of fortune, any kind of wealth, money, power, which comes easily into people, does not last. Now, this is not a story in itself. We have heard that if things come easily, the easily it goes.
Now, it is just not a proverb in the literal sense, it has also a lot of scientific meaning to it. When things come easily into your life, if you're focused on getting things easily, without making efforts, without going into the higher value of why the item had come into your life, that wealth had come into your life, the knowledge had come into your life, the power had come into your life, if you do not have the knowledge behind the effort that was created to get that object, and if it has come into your life by some chance, if you do not know the value of it, it will, on 100% basis, move out of your life as fast as it came. That is the science behind it. Any item of value, any wealth of value, any knowledge which has power, any source of power on earth is created out of energies. There's a lot of toil, there's a lot of energies going behind creating certain items, wealth, money. The more money, the more effort in certain ways, in terms of thinking, in terms of investment. And once you get it, obtain it very easily, your brain does not register the value in terms of creating the energy to make that value happen and come into your life. And when it came into your life very easily, without your knowledge of having it, your subconscious will not register the hard efforts behind it, the skills required behind it, and it will move out of your life as easily, because everything about our life is about our thinking, it's about our subconscious. But on the other hand, if any wealth came into your life and you appreciate the value that was put behind creating that wealth, behind creating that object, by creating that discovery, once you know and appreciate that value and study it and get to know in its fullness, then that value of that object which came into your life will have meaning in your life, and your subconscious will register the goodness and the value that was put behind, the efforts that were put behind by different individuals, which made that object come into your life. There were two people 500 years back. One was a person who was completely bothered about himself, about making the fastest buck as soon as possible. In terms of stealing, in terms of creating schemes, in terms of doing anything to get money as fast as possible. Because the only objective of his life was to make money as fast as possible. And as we know today, having that kind of mindset is the most foolish way to lose everything in life. And this person created schemes, went about stealing from people. And over a period of his time, people got to know that this was a thief. People got to know that this was a con person. He lost his value in terms of the society. And also, he was known as a thief. He was known as a convict. He was known as someone who was trying to make everything for himself in the fastest way, without contributing to the society, without contributing the efforts behind it. There was another person, also 500 years back, who had a clear vision along with the energies of the earth. And let us know, this is not rocket science. Being along with the energies of the earth, which sustain our own oxygen, is the smartest, wisest, and most efficient way of leading a life towards health, wealth, and spiritual wellness. The purpose of your life, once it is with the source code of our own oxygen, the source code of life which provides us with the water, rains, rivers, trees, the life systems which help us. If we are in friendship along with those energies, if we are in sync with those energies, if you are moving along and gliding with those energies which sustain our own life, it is the most smartest thing to do. And this person 500 years back got into an idea. He thought of building the best of boats. Till then, the boats were just used to carry maybe 5 to 10 people. He thought of building the best boats which could withstand the best of weather. And he built the best of yacht systems of those times, which could travel thousands of kilometers and discover new lands, new findings. And that was one of the first boats used by some of the greatest navigators of all times, including Christopher Columbus, Vasco da Gama, and the greatest sailors of all time. And his name is also known today when we think of the greatest ships. Now just let us compare the lives of these two people 500 years back. The last day of the life of the thief and the robber was all about himself and trying to get everything. And at the end of the day, people branded him a thief and a robber and a person trying to make money as soon as possible for his own skin. And he lost his life during his time on earth. He was cast away during his time on earth. He was imprisoned during his time on earth. On the other hand, the person 500 years back who worked on an idea to build the best of ship, which contributes to the future generation, had a meaning in the yesterday, and we remember him even today when we see the greatest of ships, the nuclear-powered ships, which breaks the greatest of ice in Antarctica and makes way towards different continents. The greatest of discoveries into the future must be along with the source code of life on earth. Thereby we are blessed into eternity of time. The small life that we live on earth has all kinds of meaning because it is helping the future generations, and in turn they are blessing our lives. They are remembering us. We in turn are being grateful for the life that we have lived on earth, and we are contributing to the source code of goodness of our earth today and into the future. Let's replenish our earth. Oh, fuck.
4 women and 3 men, 375 years into the future, took out on a gliding tour across the neighborhood. And then they could also have the vision to glide across the earth, not in very big distances, because the gliding system had its range. But the range of the gliding system 374 years into the future was about thousands of kilometers, because it was powered by an atomic battery which was so minute, which is so condensed in its energy form that it could provide enormous energy to the gliding machine. It was not an aircraft, but it was an instrument which could glide across the winds. And even if there was no much wind, it had systems by which it moved and flew across the sky. And it had beautiful ranges. Now you see certain battery-powered cars and also electric cars. It has wide ranges. So these gliding systems had a wonderful time in terms of its ability to move across different terrains. Now once they were in the air, the terrain of the earth did not matter. It was the force of the winds. But the gliding systems of those times had ability to move into any kind of force of the wind and counter it. The 5 people enjoyed their views across the terrain that they were gliding in. They took off on a short trip which was around 3,000 kilometers. And the gliding was kind of fast enough by which they could move and see places around 3,000 kilometers also and come back. They could either move slowly or move fast. And they enjoyed the views, and if they wanted to stop at some place, they had hilltops. And there were beautiful coffee houses, snack houses, and every kind of food available in hill, very tall mountain areas. because those were the places where the gliding places could stop and then have their refreshment and again go back. So this was the system into the future, 375 years. The seven people moved across different places across the world. They could study terrains. They could move into any place where they wanted to see the habits, the lifestyle, the natural systems, the sea, the mountains, the lakes. These were all experiences which they got. And such kind of gliding system is also available today, except that it's in a very small range. Let the gliding systems which we have into the future be with the energies of the earth. We must glide with the energies of the earth which sustain life. We must not move away or counter the energies of life which gives us our oxygen, which gives us our water, which gives us every life system, which includes our gravity, rains, and everything associated with our life form. The moment we start to glide with the energies of life in our present, we are like the birds which soar in the sky. We are one with the energy of the universe which sustains life. The moment we start to move against the force of the universe, it's like we're moving against the greatest hurricane on earth. We will not be able to survive for a long time because we are working against the very oxygen that we breathe. Let our lives into the future be gliding with the source code of life which helps the future generations thrive, evolve, and prosper with health, wealth, and spiritual abundance into the future. Let's replenish our earth. Many times in life, we will not be able to see the other side of the boundary that we are in. We are in a kind of lifestyle, we're in a kind of living, we're in a kind of society, and we are in a kind of mindset. And everything in terms of our life revolves around our mind's boundaries. Now, it's not very easy. The mind is conditioned right from an early age, right from the stage of an infant, and also the environment which the child was born. But it's not just the environment which a child was born, it also goes back to hereditary factors. People born in Africa have some very good physical traits, gives them very good agile abilities, and you find they are some of the best athletes in the world and some of the best teams in terms of sprinting, sports, basketball, which requires a lot of physical activity and stamina and all the attributes of being extremely good physically. You find a lot of African athletes. It does not mean that people of other races do not have the ability, but because of the climatic conditions, because of the traits of evolution in different geographies, different people have different abilities. Now, these are the boundaries of the mind, which would be on an individual level. And the boundaries of the mind, as we said, comes from hereditary factors. It comes from the environment which the first infant was born, and also the experience of life, usually within the first 10 to 15 years, which forms an individual. Now, these are the boundaries which most of us live in. And we will be lucky if we are within the boundary of the universal energies which sustain life. If we are within the source of the goodness of the oxygen that we breathe, if we respect the oxygen that we breathe, and in turn bless the present world through the work that we do, through the
efforts put in terms of our professions, which is not only for ourselves but also as a contributing factor for the present generations in terms of solving problems, creating the best of solutions in whatever professions that we are involved in. If we do the best, not in terms of our flesh alone, not in terms of getting the best returns alone for ourselves, but in terms of contributing with a purpose, then we are moving out of the boundary of our human limitations, are moving into the boundary of the universal force of abundance, the force which gives oxygen to every living being on earth, the force which controls the different planets within our solar system, the energy of the universe. We are tapping into that kind of energy in very minute form. And that energy, we call it God. We call it by different names. But it's that energy source which is all encompassing. And by moving with the eternal source of God, to the eternal source of creativity, which makes us human, we are one step being remembered in the eternity of time for our small lifespans on earth.
Let's talk about forming companies, being successful with companies, or being successful in any profession that you are in. The focus must be your contribution. The focus must be the goal of your company in terms of solving problems, creating solutions to existing problems. If you're working with any kind of people, places, your objective must be to serve in the best way possible. Now, when you do that with sincerity, along with the energies of the earth which sustain life, you will move into abundance, you will move into prosperity. The problem today is people are focused on trying to do as little as possible and then trying to gain as much as possible. So, just imagine that the person who did very little gained a lot. It is just not possible within the energy system that something without effort and knowledge about how that money or wealth was made, if it moves into the hands of someone without experience, it will just move out of that person again in the fastest way, and that money, wealth, or any kind of goodness which came into a person's life, maybe by fluke, maybe by inheritance, by which they did not know. All of a sudden it came, and usually in 90% of the cases, people who do not have a dedication, who do not have a purpose, families without clear purpose about their inheritance, lose their wealth. And you see, very foolish thieves trying to make a big buck somewhere. The moment they steal, within a year's time they are caught, they're put in prison usually, and that happens to 90% of people who are in the prisons. And all of this comes from stories which they have heard within television, literature, social media, and movies, which shows that, you see, some of the biggest movies is about, some of the old movies, not much as of now, but it's about robbery heists, And what happens to most of those stories? Within a matter of 3 to 5 years, all of them are inside, And even if they made all of the wealth, all of the wealth turns into kind of destruction in their lives, because it's all about an energy. It's an energy of either by which it prospers or the energy which destroys. So something within a dark energy will eat up the person moving within it. So that is the principle of everything that we do. So one of the only best factors is to move with the energies of life. And any profession that you do with a clear purpose for working with the future, you're going to be blessed. You're going to be faithful to your work. You're going to be immensely fruitful in what the objective of the end result is. If you're going to create a solution with a clear determination to create a solution for a large number of people, in terms of a company, in terms of an idea, that idea is going to germinate into the future and that company is going to grow. If you're going to create a coffee house trying to make a profit alone, you will try to compromise on the coffee. You will compromise on the milk. You will compromise on other ingredients. And then the coffee shop will shut down because people do not get quality coffee. And the best way to sell coffee is to have word of mouth in terms of the quality of the coffee. So I'm just quoting an example. So the moment you are sincere, the moment you're dedicated to your purpose, in terms of your calling, in terms of business, you are bound to be successful because you're tapping into the energy of life which sustains us. You're moving with your own oxygen. You should only feel sorry for the thieves because they're running on a foolish energy, trying to steal. And if your biggest enemy or someone who wants to do you bad, the best thing is for them to run behind some nonsense which is in their heads, which a movie has told them. And, usually all of these people, which includes people within incarceration for many years, people who are with the mindset of fast buck. It just does not happen that way in the world. So, even if a fast buck is made, it's about the energy, about how it came. If there's an energy of destruction in what you create, it will eventually turn into destruction for yourself. If there is an energy of creation in what we do, we will move into that energy of creation and it will germinate into the future. It's the principle of the energy, It is the principle of our own oxygen that we breathe. The moment we breathe oxygen, we are having life. But it's a foolish thing for any kind of nonsense ideas to work against that same oxygen. And if someone is so bent upon doing it, it will be the best option for you to leave them alone, and let them do what they do. And only when they are in the pit, only when people are in pits, only then we can help them out, if we can help them out. But if they are moved into the deepest pit and no one can help them out, that is their calling. God has given us the wisdom, and with the wisdom, let's move with the source code of life. Let us know that it's the best, easiest, and fastest way to have abundance on earth, to have a meaning in life. And it's not just for your physical body, it's not for our physical bodies alone. It is for the soul of the universe. And your soul is one with the creative source which made life on earth. And that will have meaning in the yesterday, today, tomorrow. Because it's about helping the future. And in helping the future, present is blessed. Let's replenish our earth. One of the greatest problems that we face as humans today is our mindset. One of the greatest challenges and goodness that we see today can be also our mindset. So our mindset can either be for the good or the bad. It can be either a problem or a solution. But the problem is that our minds are conditioned, and once our minds are in beliefs, thoughts, in structures of thinking, which is the connections of the neuron, it is very difficult to change the present from the past. So what happens is patterns of what happens in the past will also happen into the future, because the neurons within the mind, the belief system deep within the subconscious, are of the same thought patterns. And those neurons are just like wiring connections, like electrical connections towards an end goal. And when that end goal is from the past, in the present, those neuron connections will work towards the future in the same way. And the past will start repeating itself. So this is one of the great challenges for us as humans. Now, what makes us humans is not our neuron connections with the animals. The animals, we should respect them because they are animals and they are interested primarily in food and a kind of living which might be kind of comfortable according to their thinking, and that is the only factor in a broad sense that most animals think of. It's about the carnal desires of getting something immediately, a good food, a wonderful meal for a dog would help the dog have a spike in its mind, in its brain, in its hypothalamus, with the chemicals of happiness. And as humans, we should not just seek temporary happiness, spikes of happiness in the hypothalamus of our minds. That is not true happiness as a human. The goodness as a human is to be connected with the source good of God. And the only differentiating factor the source code of God has given us is creativity. There were 9 people going in a speedboat 100 years into the future. Now the speedboat as the sea today is not the speedboat that will be in terms of the future. Although the boat was primarily made to travel within the lakes, the rivers, it also had the ability to move in the most ferocious of waves in any kind of weather. It had systems, patterns, technologies. And with all of those systems, the boat with the 9 people moved into the river first. The river was in turn connected to the sea. And the 9 people wanted to put their vehicle into the future to the test. The boat as we see today was not just a boat then. It also had the ability to glide on water when the waves were very tough for it to move. It had the ability to draw energy from the water itself, the wind, the air. And also it had an energy system of a powerful atomic battery which need not be recharged, but which had a life of more than 100 years for each recharge. And with these systems of technologies, they were able to travel long kilometers and also drop by the islands on the way, which were pristine but not very much inhabited. They could have their breaks. Now, while they were traveling, they made sure that they are with the energies of the earth which sustain life. Technologies in the future can only be technologies which help us humans if our minds are conditioned to be with the energy source code of life. If our minds are conditioned to be with our own oxygen, any other conditioning of mind, any other kind of psychology other than the source code of our own oxygen that we breathe is a complete deviation from the goodness of life. It is towards complete negativity. It is towards complete turmoil. There cannot be any energies which is encouraged to move towards negativity other than the source code of our life, which is our oxygen. And these people, 9 people, knew it while they were traveling in the sea. And while they were traveling, they made it a point to also fish. Now the boat, or the transport system within the sea as we call it, had all of the systems of cooking, had all the systems by which they could take time off. It was not just a small boat.
They were able to travel at the fastest speeds than any of the greatest boats at that time, and also at the safest speeds. Now, such kind of evolution into technology can only be if we respect our present, the abilities which the universal force of creation has given us in the present. The mind that we have is not about any other animal. We respect all animals with the mind and the gift of the ability of creativity, which makes us in some very small minute degrees with the source code of life. Once we respect that, we will help other living beings, including our pets, our animals, have a better life, have better systems of life into the future for our future generations. Let's replenish our earth. Let's understand that working for the future generations and working in the present for the goodness of the energy systems of our earth, and also getting into any profession, any kind of idea, creating any company, which helps not just solve a problem for the present generation in terms of big numbers or many number of people, which can be even the thousands, 10,000s, millions, and much more, like some of the big ideas of today which turn into great apps, great companies. But we must understand that working for our flesh alone, working for ourselves alone, for our goodness alone, and for the desires of self alone is the most foolish thing which anyone as a human can do. Because it's an assured way of falling into the deepest pits in life. And it's a very clear and effective way to move into deep troubles in life. But why do we again and again, many people and many of us, move into such pits, trying to do everything for ourselves? It's because we are kind of driven by the instinct of our prehistoric ancestors, which might be 50,000 years ago. But during those times, there was a caveman. There were animals which were around the place where the caveman lived. The caveman lived along with 3 males and 7 women. Now the cavemen had no clothes as we saw today. They had clothes made out of animal skins so that they could be warm, when it was extremely cold. So they used to use the covering so that they could be much better in terms of its warmth of the clothes or the skins which they used. They had their houses which were made of granite, but not as the granite houses we see today. It was the rocks of the mountains which they used as the place to stay. They had caves by which they formed houses within those caves. They had compartments within those caves, and they kind of decorated those caves with beautiful artwork. Some of those artworks of more than 20 to 30,000 years ago is still available to us in terms of archaeological discoveries, in terms of horses which they drew in those caves. And during those times, the only good mindset, which was 50,000 years ago, was to be just like the other animals and be much better at it, maybe, So in case a lion or a tiger or any kind of animal kills a prey through its instinct for survival, these people used to try and go and grab it, trying to frighten maybe the lion or the tiger or something. So they used to devise means and ways to try to frighten it and then go and take
go and steal the lion's share, because that is one of the easiest ways to get food as fast as possible. Because the hard work of chasing the prey, which the lion would do or the tiger would do, was quite easy, and the only thing which they was try to do was the best of was try to go and steal after the lion or the tiger made a kill, or any other animal which is carnivorous made a kill, by kind of frightening it or so, through different means, by arrows or by wearing face mask and running towards it as a group, or there were different means during that time to frighten other prey and then take it away. So that was the mindset of that time, because it was about survival. But over periods of time, over periods of 100,000 years, our minds have evolved and we have become true humans in terms of our connection with the universal force of creativity, which is the only thing which makes us human. That is the only distinguishing factor which makes us different from all other species. Now, once we respect that creativity, we must know that doing anything for our carnal selves alone in this modern times is being one with that mindset which was 50,000 years ago, which is no longer valid today. Today, prosperity, moving into abundance, the best of things coming into your life is only if you can get into the creative source of the universe. And how do you get into the creative source of the universe? It is no big science. It is no science which moves over our head. It is not foolish thing. It is the most wisest, smartest and easiest way to get into prosperity. Get into ideas, get into fields, get into people, and help them who are with the energies of the earth, who's working for the future generations. And once you help those people who are working for the future generations, it is the fastest way for you to be successful in this world. Blessings are coming into your life. You're moving with the source code of life. Your subconscious is being connected to the goodness of our universe, which is about abundance. There is abundance of oxygen for all of us on this planet. There's abundance of water. There's abundance of resources across the universe. It's only us humans who have made the limitations. Now, in the previous videos, we have told you about stories about people moving at the carnal instincts and then moving into problems, because once we are running after money, the energy of money is going to eat us. The energy of money is wonderful. It's great to have a lot of money, because you can do a lot of good things for yourself and for the future generations and for our earth, with lots of resources at your disposal, which includes the ground basics, which is money. But money just does not come by running behind it. The moment we run behind money, money runs away from us. It's running behind solving problems of a large number of people on earth, which makes the difference by which money, wealth and goodness will start moving towards you. And when you do that, you can do it only with a clear purpose of your life. Your purpose of your life should be to solve a grave problem faced by other humans, your fellow humans. The greatest of apps, which is the most used as of today, has solved a problem in people. It has helped them connect much better. It has helped them move information much better. It is able to help make friends across the world. And those are the greatest apps, because it's being used by millions of people. The moment you start to find solutions of problems for today's times, which also is a solution for the future, that will be your purpose on earth. And you will be remembered for the solution that you have created in terms of the energy of goodness, which you have given to the present generation, which will also be for the next generations. And they will thank you for it. And then your life is
moving with the yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And that is the easiest, fastest, and smartest way to be successful. Let's replenish our earth. We should know that everything about our life is about our thought patterns. But it's not about as simple as that. Today they say that you can just think about anything on a constant basis and things start to manifest in your life, which is absolutely the best way to market anything, in terms of trying to help people get their dreams. We must know that our minds are a product of evolution, and we can help evolve our minds. We can help the neurons connect our mind, but it takes a lot of effort for the brain connections to happen in the right way. If we are kind of programmed within our mind to believe in certain things right from childhood, the belief systems have been ingrained, and that kind of belief system deep within the core of the subconscious starts to reflect in their lives. So the only option is to make a concrete and concerted effort to move into new realms of thinking. And that realms of thinking can only be through creativity, by giving focus on creativity and being thankful for even the smallest gifts of life, for even the oxygen that we breathe, the water that we drink. From that thankfulness germinates new neurons of creativity, of moving with this creative source thought of God, of our lives, of our life systems, the creative energies which keeps us alive, breathing with the oxygen in each of our cells and the oxygen in water, which is also a part of our being. As we understand, nearly 60% of the human body, to a large extent, is water, and the rest is matter. If you really look into the matter of a human body, and nearly 96% of our brains are water and the rest is matter. So we are essentially living forms, and this is the case with most living beings. And the only differentiating factor is the chromosomes, the cells, the first cell of a mother when the child is being born. The differentiating factor is the small chromosome, which makes the ability of humans move with the source code of life to a small degrees, which makes us human. And once we respect that aspect of creativity, we are moving with the goodness of life of our universe, which keeps us alive. And we must understand, if the world around us was not good, we will not be breathing the oxygen. It is about goodness of the source code of life. It is about the wind. It's about the water that we drink. It's about us. It's the gift of our God of our faiths to us, whichever faith we belong. The earth is the gift from that God of our faiths to us, and it is our duty to preserve the earth in its best natural systems. There were 7 different people in different areas of the world around 9,000 years ago. They did not know about each other, but they were in different landscapes and territories around the world. Their kind of thinking was about the lifestyle then. Even 9,000 years ago, there were cities, there were towns, there were forests, there were animals. As we see today, the animals kind of remained the same 7,000 years ago also. It's only humans who have evolved. Animals had the same lifestyle. But we as humans have evolved over 9,000 years as of now. And these 7 people had different kinds of lifestyle. One of them was in a city. And as we know that the lifestyle within the city is about
trying to get things for the carnal self alone, usually. And this person was trying to make a fast buck within the city. There was a person on the outskirts of a town, and he was more into a bit of nature along with town life. He wanted to gel his farming activities. He used to farm and then cultivate and then give it to the city in terms of barter trade, in what they wanted for themselves. There were others in different professions. The other 5 people were different professions. One was a doctor. In those times, a doctor in those times was about helping people live in the best of health in the knowledge of the day. It did not have very advanced systems of medicines as we see today, but there were certain ground and basic forms of medicine which included some very essential oils like frankincense, which cured many of the diseases then. Frankincense was an essential oil which was a kind of all-curing essential oil then, but it was diluted in its forms. Frankincense by itself is not as effective, but the dilution of the frankincense oil to counter diseases, to counter vermin energies of the disease, was the most sought after oil. And this person was also a doctor and dealing with frankincense oil and helping people recover. There were people in trading, but trading organic goods then. They were able to grow the best of agricultural crops along with the best of soil systems, not with fertilizers, but with organic manure, which replenishes the soil. There were another person who was completely into crime and about a dark energy, and his life was all about running around, trying to make a fast buck of people, and over a period of time he was running for his life without any kind of respite, because he was not running because he wanted to do so, because he had a clear subconscious belief, even during those times 9,000 years ago, within his mindset, and that belief system had ingrained and made it a neuron connection, and no matter where he was into all kinds of crimes. Now these are the kinds of people even we find today. It's a part of us, it's a part of our society. There was another person among the 7 and 9 people who was an industrialist of their time. And that industrialist of that time flourished 7,000 and 9,000 years ago. He flourished again because he was working with the energies of the earth, with the energies of the own oxygen, without knowing about it. He got into fields 7,000 years ago so that the future generations would be blessed. He created the best of trading platforms so that people who made organic agriculture, who produced the potatoes, the tomatoes, all kinds of essential food, even though during those times people needed the best of food. So he created a platform so that people could bring in the organic material. And then the population who wanted to enjoy high quality, fresh food could buy it immediately. And he had a system all across different towns. And he moved with the energies of the earth without knowing at that time. Such should be the same principle applied today. We should create new trade systems by which
Even the cultivation which was 9,000 years ago should be in some sense the same, because we are essentially nourishing the soil with organic life. That is the only way by which future generations can have quality food. The microorganisms within soil is what makes the soil fertile. Let's replenish our earth.